Welcome to the University of York Society Hub podcast series. This is coming from the School of Business and Society here at the University of York in England. And I'm delighted to welcome Mr. Fabien Baugard, who is our Head of Careers here at the School for Business and Society. Fabien, we're delighted to have you, and thank you very much for taking time out of a very busy schedule to be with us today. Welcome.
Thank you, Sinead. This is a pleasure for me to take part in this podcast. I look forward to sharing ideas with you.
Great. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Fabien. And I know that you have a tremendous career in this whole field of careers and career development. So it would be really helpful for our listeners and for our viewers if we could learn a little bit more about your own career journey to date, Fabien, please. Thank you.
Yes, not a problem at all. So I've been working in HE for more than 15 years now, and I started by my career actually back in my home country in France, where I worked in journalism for a while. I worked in authoring some career books, hence the career probably that I've developed further later on in life. I worked in new technologies areas, the web industry, where I was a web writer, and later on I came to the UK and continued to work in the web industry, mainly in business development and project management. I started embracing a career in HE, like I said, 15 years ago, more than 15 years ago, because I was really interested in bringing all my skill set that I developed so far in terms of business development, speaking several languages, working internationally, working with small companies, working also with big players when I worked in sales, and sharing that experience with our students. So I started my career as a placement officer, placing some students abroad within countries like the US, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, amongst the best players here. I placed them in hospitality and tourism industry and visited students where they were on placements to assess the work and really develop strong relationships with some key partners. After this, I continued to work in placements and become more specialized in the field. So I retrained as a career consultant because I wanted to have a holistic view of the sector. And so I worked for the government sector, for the National Career Service, alongside other universities such as the University of Leeds, where I developed some employability elements for international students, in particular students who were on masters, looking at developing an employability program for the international students there. And then I joined the University of York, the School for Business and Society, for which I've been enrolled for about 7 years now. So my current role is basically overseeing the career offer within the school. I complement the offer, the central offer, which means I'm specialized in the school. That's the advantage for students because they really have somebody to talk to, and I've developed this knowledge of basically our programs. And since the merge of the school, management merged with another department 2 years ago, I've developed another specialism with students in social policy and social work. So in the school, we offer the service to more than 2,000 students to date, and whether they are from the UK or from the EU or international students. Obviously, most of our master's cohort are international, so we try to cater for all our students. My role involves delivering in the curriculum, working alongside academics that I'll explain further, and also delivering career sessions, employer events, and also one-to-one interventions. alongside this, I also work on work-based learning projects to develop further experience for our students. So that's basically what I do within the school. I forgot to mention that I work alongside a placement team, but their specialism is work experience learning, which means that they provide placements, internship for all of our students, and basically they're fitting into the work that I provide within the
Great.
school.
Wonderful. Really impressive. What's really fantastic about what you've shared with us, Fabien, is that your career really truly is international in its scope as well. And you kindly mentioned that you work in parallel with another skill team, and that's the placement team. And if listeners and viewers are interested, there's a separate podcast on placement. So, just moving us on, in the course of your impressive career journey, Fabien, you must have witnessed a lot of change in terms of employer demands, applicant and student needs, as well as cultural differences. Can you provide us with an overview of the changes that you've witnessed over the last few years, please?
Yeah, I would say in terms of employer demands, obviously the digital transformation has happened. You know, we've seen that there's been a big shift in terms of digital skills. So employers really prioritize technology, and if you're not a technical person, you would be expected to demonstrate a range of digital skills, whether it is to work for data analysis, digital marketing. These are skills which are frequently requested by employers. We talk also about soft skills. So now it's more about behavioral and cognitive skills. So these soft skills, which complement your degree, which enable you to make you a well-rounded individual, to make you ready for work. And so they look at adaptability, for example, emotional intelligence, communication, but also in remote or hybrid work settings. Um, Employers also require you to have a global mindset. We live in a globalized world, so the demands for employees who work across cultures, and we got a chance here at the School for Business and Society to have a multicultural community. You will need to understand diverse markets and communicate in multiple languages, for example. So if your mother tongue is not English, if it is Mandarin, it is French, Spanish. I mean, those languages are useful for future world of work. There's also a strong emphasis on ESG. Obviously, this is with the UN agenda, the environmental and social and governance agenda, because everybody now is concerned about sustainability and CSR or corporate social responsibility. So the rules really emphasize those values to ensure that there's environmental compliance, but also diversity and inclusion initiatives embedded in this. So that's what the employers are looking for. In terms of the needs for students, the students want more flexibility and work-life balance, and that's especially a fact after COVID. Going through the pandemic, students really value the flexibility and work-life balance, and the bill from the government, which has come in place and will be rolled out in 2025, really demonstrate that there's going to be you know, on the agenda as soon as you start your new job, you'll be able to ask for flexibility of work. They also want to make a difference, or graduate, today's graduates. They want to make have a job which has meaningful impact. Okay, not necessarily only financial security by having a good wage, but also something which is purpose driven. Okay, they also want to continue to learn, and that's really expected by employers as well, that you need to develop your career. So ensuring that there's that element in your career as well, for time to train, for example, and develop you further within your career. Post-COVID, we see a
Right.
lot of mental health issue which arose. There's a stronger emphasis on mental health resources now in the workplace environment. So um, the graduates also want to work for an organization that they value. Okay, I talked about the purpose of the career, but also what they value in terms of organizational culture and the systems which are put in place to support them. Cultural differences. There's also a good agenda on terms of diversity and inclusion and ensuring that we recruit people from around the world. There's also some trends in terms of AI, for example, so we need to address those needs. So that's basically what are the demands today.
Great. Excellent and really helpful for our listeners and viewers, Fabien. Thank you for such great detail. If we remain on the changes, you mentioned artificial intelligence, and I imagine technical developments are among probably the largest areas of change. Could you speak a little bit more about the impact that artificial intelligence has been having in the field or that you anticipate will have in the field, please?
Yeah, so technology has evolved very rapidly. When I started my career, it was just the onset of the internet. So I'm telling you my age, really. So, but that's evolved very rapidly. We thought that the information highways, as we call them, then would really change the world. But I think the new industrial revolution now is about AI, and we've seen proliferation. A lot of software tools have adapted, for example, who have come to play. So we talk about cloud computing, we talk about collaborative tools such as Zoom that we're using now, but also Microsoft Teams. And this is used in coding, project management, finance. So that's really embedded into the world of work. We need to use remote work technology, and that's been really emphasized since COVID because these technologies used, but they were not used as much. So everybody now use remote work technology. I mean, there's all so video conferencing platforms, but also virtual private networks, for example. Um, Data is really important as well. So collect, analyze, and interpret the data. This is really important, and so a lot of professions will require from marketing to healthcare, they would require data analysis, and then so um, software like Tableau, Python-based tools are really required. Cybersecurity is another element as well that expanded dramatically, and especially with the hacking, which happens all the time within companies. We've seen recently in news that some hospitals were targeted. So it's really important that cybersecurity has come at the forefront as well of AI. In terms
Great.
of AI and its impacts on careers, it will really prevent some mundane tasks. It would help to do tasks more efficiently and probably upskill people and reskill them. So quite a lot of new jobs will come up to the market. A lot of people say that it will probably um, make some jobs disappear, but I disagree. I'm tend to disagree with this because if you upskill yourself, you will develop your new skills, and obviously you will be more competent on the great labor market. That's why I said originally that digital skills are really important. So AI won't would be there to help you to collaborate, to help you to develop new way of working, and that's why the challenges are hard are here now. I mean, there'll be some job displacements probably, but if the regulations are put in place for that, will work in a safe environment. So again, it's a complementary skills AI, which will help you with your career.
Right. It's a fascinating area. So we watch on with interest in relation to artificial intelligence. Thank you, Fabien. For applicants and students seeking to apply for jobs, or indeed some maybe in the process of applying for jobs, how would you characterize employer needs in the labour market currently within the UK and perhaps internationally?
Yeah, so there's been shift in employee needs. Okay, so the economic conditions have changed. There's been technological advancements. So the workplace is a bit different as well. So what needs to be students need to be aware, and that basically the practices from employers at the moment are that they are likely to be cautious on hiring practices, and that's why there's a shift towards temporary or contract positions over permanent roles. But that's because the economy is not as secure as before. So, for example, there's a higher national contribution, for example, and um, so employers had to adopt to that. Also, some data show us that permanent job vacancies have decreased. There's also investment in AI and automation, so that's basically some employers may prefer to invest in AI, for example, just and then think about recruiting, for example. So I would say there's a kind of pause, but what's required is soft skills. Okay, that what you can bring into to the UK economy. So we talk a lot about critical thinking skills, problem solving skills. These are the skills that you develop at the university and then you love to implement whilst you are in the workplace. And we talk about critical thinking skills because you bring something new to the employer, and that's why they will hire you. So adaptability, flexibility, emotional intelligence, I've talked about it earlier. But what's essential as well, we talked about the Employment Rights Bill, which would be implemented probably in this year, and that will change the work environment in the UK. So it does address flexibility, family rights, equality, fair pay, trade union freedoms, for example. So keep yourself updated about that because it's kind of a mini revolution in terms of the workplace with the new government in place since July. So keep learning, upskill yourself, and ensure you develop your soft skills as well. You know, think about your soft skills, adaptability, problem solving, emotional intelligence. Okay, how you demonstrate those in interviews can make a huge difference in the hiring process. Okay.
Wonderful. Are there particular international career trends that you consider would be important for our listeners and viewers across international boundaries that they should consider when seeking to apply for international roles?
So now companies are working internationally, a lot of them, and because of remote working, you can be hired in one country and work in another. So that's the trend. You can the role offer a fully remote or hybrid arrangements. So highlight your ability to work across time zones. I'm currently working on a project with India, and it's quite difficult sometimes to to work with colleagues with such a time difference. For example, think about a remote collaboration, how you work in a hybrid way, how you pace yourself online, for example, and how you adapt yourself to the world of work in that country of destination. Think about green jobs and sustainability. So this is really high on agenda. You know, it's in UN sustainability goals, and um, so think about where you'd like to work: renewable energy, electric vehicles, sustainability manufacturing, for example. Okay, so you something which has an impact as well. So think about this and develop some skills in these areas so it make your CV stand out from the crowd. All the transformation is also, digital aspects. I mentioned about digital skills, so that goes without saying. But think about some countries in Asia, Africa, and South America now, as there's some great opportunity in tech, as well as alongside these traditional hubs like the US, EU, and Australia, for example. So ensure you keep yourself updated with new technologies. Think about EDI. EDI is high as well. Gig economy and languages. Okay, I speak three languages. That's I think is a great opportunity to work with other countries, but some countries like Mandarin, Spanish, or French are in high demand. So if you develop language skills, this will make a difference to your CV. Not only speaking English, but you could target different markets, for example. Okay, continue to learn as well. Develop your upskill yourself all the time. And a last thing is make sure you're aware of um, regulations in the destination country, because the workplace may be a bit different there. Okay, and then if you an international candidate, you may want to be aware about visa regulations. That's my advice for our
Wonderful.
international students.
Great. Lots of great guidance there, Fabien. Thank you for being so thorough. I know from working with you, Fabien, in the academic context, that embedding employability within the curriculum is very important to you. But for listeners and viewers, some may find that an unusual concept. Some may be more familiar with the fact that curriculum at university is very much about academic learning, etc. Could you say a little bit more about what is meant by embedding employability within the curriculum, please?
Yeah, so I mean, it's going with it times basically, and then many universities have taken on board this aspect, and then at York especially, we've started embracing this for quite a while now, but especially for over the last 2 years, and I think is the impact of post-pandemic with think about the way of working, but also ensuring that we bridge the gap between academia and industry, ensuring that we closer to the industry. And if we put that into context, for example, if we put the skills in context with the program that the students are studying, students will think it's more relevant to their career. So they will definitely think that the employability activities that we do in the curriculum will talk to them more. And I've had quite a lot of success with this, because students are more engaged with those activities, and we can talk about direct relevance to their future career. And then when I do some interventions alongside academics within the modules, they can see, okay, what what it is like, for example, to work in strategic management, what kind of skills you need to develop, how you deal with crisis, how you solve problems within the team, for example. Okay, so this kind of um, this talks with basically the trends of the labor market, what we need to do to make it more relevant, because um, it's a universal need that you need to talk about your career, know more about your career. Okay, so and then the student will gain more confidence about your trajectories, depending on what your degree is, because you if you expose to different markets, to different world of work, you will be more confident of your choice of your future career. And then we talk about, how the technical skills are really important. So I reiterate that message all the time. Update your digital skills. Be aware of that. Upskill yourself. The job market evolves all the time. So I give you updated information about the job market. And it's also a responsibility as educators to ensure that you get updated knowledge about that. Okay. And then it does enrich academic learning, because I work alongside the academics, and then they understand where it's coming from. So some academics may not have some industry knowledge, because they be like a pure academics, but some may have worked in industry, and then they understand more easily what the needs are. So I think it's really working alongside academics to deliver what your needs are.
Wonderful. And I really like your use of the word enrichment, that embedding employability skills within the curriculum enriches the academic learning experience. The School for Business and Society here at the University of York in England, Fabien, as you know, is particularly successful due to your leadership in embedding employability skills. What, from your perspective, makes the employability approach which you lead on at the school so unique?
It's quite unique because I think it could be summarized in one word because it's bespoke. And bespoke, that's the wealth of the school because we got a dedicated team, like I mentioned at the beginning of this interview, um, careers consultant and placement team dedicated to you students. When you come to the University of York School for Business and Society, you know that you got a team to talk to, that you can book an appointment with, that you can relate to, that you'll see in the curriculum, and then you build a relationship with us, and then we will be here to accompany you to your to achieve your career goals. So basically, within the school, because we got this mission of holistic and interdisciplinary frameworks. So because we combine business, public policy, social sciences, so you get a well-rounded education, and that really matches what your needs are. We talked about, impactful. Impactful education, for example. So what are you going to learn here? Because with the concept of working for the society, the university defines itself as a public good, but the school really fits into that remit. So we embed employability throughout the curriculum. So, but here, because we've developed that relationship with academics. So, for example, I've been working with Shined for quite a few years, and I embed um, um, for example, some CV practices within a module, and that really helps students understand and relate to me, and then to the module, and that's why they are successful in their module because they really understand what it's all about. We also have strong industry partnerships. So at the moment, for example, I'm working on international consultancy projects with 4 universities. There's the University of York, School for Business and Society, um, the City College in Thessaloniki in Greece. There's also 2 universities in Noida and Hyderabad in India, with whom we're collaborating with about 60 students on developing some solutions for an industry partner. And that's really interesting because it does really help some students to develop some different concept, different idea of thinking, and help them to further their career in a globalized world. They learning different ways of working, and it's really interesting to see how they're faring with this. And finally, we have a social impact on ethical leadership as well, because the society, the School for Business and Society, we really focus on careers with a societal good and ethical practices. So we really care about that. Okay, so these kind of project that I talk about, for example, when we started the project with the Indian University, I said, yeah, that needs to be embedded into the project. Okay, ethical practices, green green impact, for example. So finally, you get really this dedicated career development support, which is kind of unique within the School for Business and Society.
Really helpful, and I know that our students greatly appreciate your approach as well, and the really enriched information that you give them around employability and guidance. So it's much appreciated across the school. Fabien, thank you. Since COVID-19, the phrase "the changing nature of work" has gathered momentum and is perhaps most notable to most in the rise in the number of people who continue to work from home or who have a hybrid mix of working either from home a few days a week or in person physically in an office for the remainder of a week. Has this changed the career guidance that you give to people? And if so, why?
Yes, it has definitely changed the advice that I provide to our students because so if we talk about remote collaboration skills, that's really changed dramatically. And then what we really encourage students to do is to emphasize how proficient they are on their CVs and their LinkedIn profiles. Okay, we ensuring that develop clear communication skills as well because they need to be able to interact remotely. Okay, so for example, you pacing the way you're talking, delivering your body language, for example, answering your smile, and such some little elements like this to help you collaborate better with people remotely online. So we do offer these kind of workshops across the university, not only in the school, um, and we deliver hybrid sessions, whether they are online or face to face within, for example, the business lounge that we use extensively. So also other advice would be to search for this kind of remote opportunities. So um, how you negotiate those work arrangements during interviews. And I, at the moment, obviously, there's the Employment Rights Bill, which is quite new to the UK, but it may be different in other countries. I always say to students, check what the policies are in those countries. Think about time management and work-life balance. So um, now, obviously, it's important to have routines because it does make you more, more effective to manage your workload. But how do you do that to stay organized when you work remotely? And then a lot of us students really suffered from that when they were affected by the pandemic, for example. So, but it's something to learn as well. So there are some training that we provide. There's some software that we recommend, and also be aware of your mental health because it's not for everybody to work at home. For example, some people don't like working at home, some like it. So it's essentially up to an individual, but be ready for that. What we try to do is to prepare you for that. Um, also, ensure that you build visibility. And then, for example, this semester, I'm developing a session on professional skills and behaviors because employers have told us that graduate students, when they come to the labor market, sometimes they're not really ready for the world of work. So with the DAX teams, we've developed a session where students will be able to test how to communicate effectively, how to present themselves online, and how to talk to people, just simple things like that. But because there's been a relapse in this area. And so that's what employers really want you to be professionals. So flexible job market, be ready for that. I mean, that's how the world of work is changing. It's really, I mentioned that probably they won't, it's there's still a great market, but it's more competitive, so they'll be more ready to change work more frequently. So think about updating your skills all the time, upskill and reskill, and in emerging technologies, and show that you're on top of it because that will make a difference for a future employer. Okay. Try to network as well, develop your network. Okay, I keep saying to students, you start your network at the university, but that carries on well beyond the university. And we got a new system, York for Life, dedicated to our alumni students. So you can network with nearly 200,000 former students of the university to find out about their career. And we do invite them, some of those, in the curriculum sometimes to talk about their career. And you can really find out what their career path has been since they left university. So, and finally, I would say be flexible because the workplace is evolving. You you want flexible work, um, but that's something to negotiate it with the employer. So that's basically what I think uh, the job market is and what the career guidance I provide to our students at the School for Business and Society.
Right. It strikes me, Fabien, that applicants have so much to get right during an application process, from their initial contact with a prospective employer to the CV, assessment centres, interview performance, and all while trying to communicate the unique contribution that they as individuals can make to their to the company. What are your top tips for applicants?
Okay. The top tip for applicants would be do your research. Okay. Research the company. Okay. Don't not only look at the website of the companies, look within the website, look for information in specialist journals or newspapers that you may want to read. We use extensively, for example, the Financial Times, um, which is accessible to our students here, has got really updated information about the sector. And tailor your application, because I see too many students who don't tailor the application. So what's in it for the employer? If you send the application, which is similar for all jobs, you won't get the job because the employer will see that you haven't made the effort. And I've been saying that for years because I still see it. And it's really crucial in this time of AI because I recently attended a conference where employers told us that they received this year more than 60% more applications. So it makes that job more difficult to recruit, but they'll red flag students who've applied through AI. I would say yes, use AI, it's fine, but follow the guidance provided by the employer, because if they say don't use it, I will not use it. My view is that it should be used to some extent to structure your application, but if it's a no, don't go for it. So be careful with highly regulated professions, for example, accountants, for example. Um, Check on the company's website. It's always better to check in advance and be honest. If they ask you whether you use AI to do your application, please do say so, because you'll be caught and you won't get a job, which is fair. So I would say, and then you can use AI, for example, if you do a CV or cover letter, but always have human touch, because you need the expertise. So AI won't be the expert. I am the expert. I will tell you this. I can pinpoint you towards the flaws in your CV. How I can spot, for example, an error in your cover letter, and because AI would be formatted and not necessarily to the point. I know the technology is good, so use it, but cautiously. Prepare adequately for online test and online assessment and psychometric test. Again, AI technology is there to help students, and some are really good to help students. But if you are spotted using AI to prep for these assessments, and you may be red flagged and not accepted for the job without knowing, because the company won't tell you. So there's assessment centers, for example, that you need to prepare. A lot of our students go through assessment centers. So for that, ensure that you prepare adequately. For example, working working groups is they want to evaluate how you perform as part of a group, as part of a team, and prepare for the interviews. I always say use the rule of 3 Ps. So prepare 3 times for the interview. Plan, prepare. Because if you don't prepare well enough, then you would not be confident in delivering the interview. Okay, so then you will show your unique contribution. What is you? Because you want you to be employed, you want to be successful to the employer in particular. So, and coming back to the first point that I made, tailor your application because it's for you. Okay, and then you'll be successful. Be resilient and learn from feedback as well, because you obviously you won't necessarily get the first job that you apply for. You may be passionate about the job. You need to learn to be resilient. Okay, so follow up. with the employer. Try to find out why you didn't get shortlisted for the interview. Obviously, it's really hard not to get feedback from employers, unfortunately. But if you try to get some feedback, then you would learn from that, okay? And then you learn from your mistakes and you'll improve. So again, tailor your application. I think that's the best piece of advice I would say. Always tailor your application and come to see me.
Right, really helpful. I know listeners and viewers will find all of that information to be really helpful. Finally, Fabien, we ask all our contributors to offer a free resource to our viewers and listeners, which listeners and viewers may not otherwise have access to. What resource have you chosen to share with everyone today, please?
Okay, so the free resource that I would share with our students is a website that I use extensively that I found really useful. This is developed for students. It's called prospects.ac.uk. On this website, you got a range of career tools that can help you navigate your kind of career, assess your skill set, what kind of career you'd like to embrace. So there's some tests, but also a range of job profiles. So more than 400 job profiles, for example. So you can look at those jobs and find out whether you would like to work in this environment, whether how you want to adapt your CV using the skill set up there. These job profiles are really useful. There's also a range of tools such as interview techniques, preparation for assessment centers. It's a really good resource, and I'm saddened sometimes when students don't even know about it because I always refer them to this website because um, it's really well done. It's developed by a team of careers consultants, and it's updated regularly. And it's really there, free for everyone. And it's if you want to have a good career and go through the recruitment process adequately, this is the right tool for you.
Great. That's really excellent, Fabien. Thank you so much for your generosity. And listeners and viewers can find that link just below this recording. Fabien, all remains for me to say is thank you so much on behalf of the School for Business and Society for joining us today. It's been really wonderful. And thank you again for your generosity of spirit and generosity of sharing so much helpful tips and wonderful guidance and advice. We wish you well and thank you so much indeed for being with us.
Been my pleasure, Sinead. Thank you very much.
Take care and thank you to our listeners and viewers. Bye, everyone.